All right, welcome back to the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. Our thanks to LeVar Ball for taking some time to join us. Check out that game on Sunday. It sounds like it'll be a fun time at the Orleans. This was kind of a funny conversation we were having off air with Danny Tarkanian. I said, Danny, who did you pick for the national championship? And he named a couple teams. And then he's like, I'll never root for Duke. And he just starts shaking his head. And I said, I should have just videoed that and put it on social media because it was pretty funny. I can imagine why none of you guys back in the day would root for Duke.
Look, though, we beat Duke I can't you say that on the air. We beat Duke by 30.
You kicked their ass.
They beat us by 2, so we got the better.
You got the best of them, no doubt.
And then if they didn't run my dad off, we would have got him a few more times. But
no doubt. Okay, so let's switch topics here a little bit. I know this is going to be a good heated debate. At least I hope it is. So, as you know, you and I disagree on politics now and then. I disagree with your wife on politics now and then, but we keep it civil, okay? So your wife, this was after this horrendous attack, which I'm sure you would agree where 50 people lost their lives, this New Zealand shooter. And just a horrible situation, just a terrorist attack. Look, people could call him a white supremacist. People could call him a Trump supporter or a Bernie Sanders supporter. I don't care. The bottom line is this person murdered a bunch of people, and it is a horrible, horrible situation. I do not believe that the people who died, their families care about what political affiliation this kid came from or what, president he voted for. So your wife goes on Twitter, and I see her. I've never commented on any of her Twitter posts. I don't agree with a lot of them, but I've never commented. But this did bother me. And I spoke about this the other day.
Yeah, I know. I had somebody call me up and tell me how bad you were on the air. So
that's not true.
But he told me, are you listening to him? I said, the NCAA tournament's on. I'm not listening to him.
I never called her a name. That I didn't do, but I completely disagree with her, and here's why. She goes on Twitter and she says, quote, New Zealand shooter is a radical environmentalist who believes the earth is overpopulated. My first reaction to that is, number one, who cares? Number two, how about talking about the victims and their families? Number three, how about talking about how we can prevent things like this from happening? Now, that's a very difficult subject, I understand. But why not talk about how did he get his hands on the weapons, number one? Number two, does he have mental illness? Can we talk about that? Because that is a big issue in this country. Whether you're on the right or the left, we all agree, at least I hope. We don't want guns in the hands of the wrong people. Obviously, this person was the wrong person. Now, that's very difficult. So I said to her, do you and this is what I said on Twitter.
You didn't say it to her.
No, I said it on Twitter.
Okay.
On Twitter, I responded, and I said, do you really think that the
I think
victims...
she has you blocked, though, so that's probably
No, I'm not blocked. No, I'm not blocked. I'm not blocked, although a lot of people do block me, Danny. That's fine. But I didn't call her any names like some idiots do. That's not, I'm not going to do that to her, but I did say, do you really think that the victims, families, care whether this guy was a radical environmentalist? Now, I understand she's a Republican. I get that. But I don't think that's something you would have done.
Okay, look, first of all, do you know what she was talking about? Do you know what she was responding to with respect to that tweet? Do you know if she was talking to the victim's family, which I'm sure she wasn't? I have no idea because I didn't talk with her about it.
All I can tell you
No.
Okay.
I let you talk. So
okay.
All I can tell you is there was a lot of talk that this guy said something about, something positive about Trump, but then he didn't like something else about Trump, so people were trying to tie the shooter to Trump. My guess is she was saying he didn't commit these shootings because he's pro-Trump and you should blame Trump for the shootings. He basically thinks the world's overpopulated. He's probably trying to kill him. I have no idea, but that seems like a more plausible explanation than just saying, hey, out of the blue, she was talking to the parents or the relatives of the people who died, and this is what she said to him. No, she wasn't.
Okay. Well, number one, I don't think you would have done that. Okay. Number two, okay. This tweet wasn't tagged in anyone or anything. What she did was she tagged a story that said that he was a radical environmentalist, and then she posted the shooter's a radical. See, this is my problem with politics today.
This is the thing. My wife does political commentary, and she's on MSNBC every Sunday at 10:30 on Alex Witt. For anybody who hasn't seen her, she does great on that show as a conservative. She's on Lou Dobbs and some other shows too. She's on both sides of the stuff. She tweets about a lot of things that they raised with her during those shows. Maybe this was something that was raised during the show from one of the producers on an upcoming show.
I suppose that's possible.
How do we know? Because we don't know what the topic was.
I can only go by it's a blank tweet with an article she put there. She didn't reference a show. But here's my point.
I guess you could attack people because they have a tweet and you don't know what the context is, and therefore, if you want to say that they should be concentrating about something else, that they're a bad person, I don't know.
I didn't say that.
Well,
I didn't call her a bad person. I just disagree with the tweet.
Hey, listen, there's a lot of things I disagree with my wife about, but she remind me that
you get into political debates.
She remind me she's always right. So
to me, you said it right there. and I know you're kind of half joking, or maybe you're not.
I'm all the way joking.
But
yes.
okay, good. This is the problem with politics, Danny. Okay, where you have an attack of maybe someone that's a Republican, and Democrats will say stupid things, and they'll go after him. Oh, he's a Trump supporter, and then the other way around. It goes on the other side as well. And it seems like when one of these attacks happened, one side wants to attack the other side instead of trying to figure out why it happened, who did it, and blame it on the person that pulled the trigger. And I don't care whether they're an environmentalist. I don't care whether they're a Trump supporter. I don't care if they, were an Obama supporter. To me, that is irrelevant.
See, this is the whole point, and you just made it there. I agree with you so much because she wasn't attacking anybody. She was, in my feeling from understanding what the dialogue was during this time period, she was responding to the motivation of this shooter, that it wasn't because she thought that he said Trump had strong nationalist views or whatever the heck it was. It's more that he felt not an environmentalist, but that the world's overpopulated, probably felt, hey, I'm going to take out who I can. I don't know what it was, but she wasn't attacking anybody. But on the other hand, and you know this, there was a person who tweeted something very rude and vile and disgusting about my wife, and then you retweeted and said, hey, you can disagree, but you should say a nice way. I said I was disappointed that I think anybody who talks with that kind of vile language and attacks somebody personally like that is a disgusting, irrepressible individual who should be called out for the dirtball that they really are.
I don't disagree.
Well, they are. This is a problem with our social media. It's a problem in our society. People feel they can say the rudest, and I'm not. Hey, look, my wife was called the C word. She's called all kinds of words, which is so bad because nobody would say that to somebody face to face, except the really, really horrible people. But you got all these courageous people that feel it's okay to do it on social media. That's the problem. Now, my wife has never talked that way to people.
And I'm happy to hear
talked that way to people. I disagree with people all the time. They attack me. In fact, I'm moving up to Gardnerville with my wife and family in August, and there were some of these people wrote these vile things about me moving up there, and some people were defending me, and all I said, look at these people, and I said this.
Yes,
these people, unhappy people, they're miserable people with their lives. They're really so sad and depressed of what happened to their lives. They want to bring people down to their level.
Yes,
it's not worth even responding to them.
And again, I don't disagree with anything you just said, and that is why I took your defense. And the reason why I retweeted that was because I wanted to show you don't have to call her names and do that to disagree with her, and I haven't done that. But I will say this though: people that call into the show, when I try to make a point about say Donald Trump, calling, going after John McCain's POW war service, and people will call into the show and they'll say, I don't see anything wrong with that. I call them idiots and I call them morons, and I stand by that. And I'm not using vulgar language like that man said to your wife. I would never do that. But anyone think it's okay to go after a POW? I think you're an idiot. That's just my opinion. Let's take some calls. 702-257-5396. And look, that's why I'm asking you about this. I wanted you to get a chance to defend that. 257-5396, 702-257-5396. Let's go to Brian. Brian, thanks for calling in. How are you?
Excellent, gentlemen. I hate to correct you, Brian, but you might not have said anything on the tweet, but on the show you did use your two favorite caricatures of people that you disagree with you just mentioned.
What did I say? Because I'm going to be honest with you. I know
Amy was an idiot. You said her tweet was idiotic.
Yes, I stand by that. I think it's idiotic.
Moron.
For tweeting that, I stand by that. Yes, I didn't call her the C word or anything. If I said idiotic, I stand by that. I think this tweet is idiotic. Danny is sitting right next to me.
As you just
I think it's idiotic.
Danny just said to you, you didn't know the context. All you did is went up on the handle.
No, hold on a second.
And called somebody's
That's
names. You didn't really know what this was all about to begin with.
Look. First of all, you're incorrect. I have the tweet right in front of me, and there's no context to it. There's no going at. I just read the tweet, and then there's an article underneath it. Yes, I think it's an idiotic tweet. Danny is sitting right next to me. I stand by that.
Okay, let me put my 2 cents. First of all, my wife is so sharp that anybody who calls her idiotic doesn't know her well enough. Okay?
The tweet was idiotic, I think.
Second of all, let's talk about some good things. Let's talk about Mueller's report that so many people were dying for it to come out now that they don't want to accept it now. Let's talk about where the country's going politically now.
Talk about where the country's going politically now? Okay, we could do that. Brian, I appreciate the call. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. 257-5396, 702-257-5396. The Mueller report showed that there was no collusion between Trump and his administration and the Russians, or there wasn't enough proof to prove that he colluded. I want to see the report. I've been public on that, saying I want the entire report to be public. Let's go to JD. JD, thanks for calling the Vegas Take. How are you?
Well, I hope I get more time than Brian. You didn't seem to like what he had to say.
No, it's not that I didn't like it. I stood by it. I said idiotic tweet. I stand by that. I think anyone who uses, and I'm not just going after Danny's wife. There are people on the left and the right that do that, and I disagree with it. It shouldn't be political. When there's a mass shooting and a lot of people die, first of all, we should be thinking about the victims. But I'm not saying his wife didn't do that. But to talk about whether someone's a Trump supporter or not, or whether they're an environmentalist, to me, it's ridiculous.
But the problem is she didn't bring that up. That was the some in the media and some in social media were trying to tie the shooter to the comments he made about Trump. So, again, it wasn't her bringing it up. Maybe it's her responding to that. Can I make the comment that you're the one that called me, or is it too late?
No, I was going to wrap myself out. You should have done it. That's
Go ahead.
Okay.
JD's the one who called me up and told me that you're on the air bashing my wife.
Oh, that's fine.
Here's my
That's
problem, Danny, as I told you. And, Brian, here's my problem with what you said about her.
Okay.
You said one word. And when I questioned you and Brian questioned you on more context, you just stated that one word about what Mrs. Tarkanian said. And I
Idiotic.
couldn't get anything out of what that one word was that was detrimental, and you would not explain yourself.
Have you called Barack Obama any bad words? Have you ever attacked a Democrat? JD, why don't you be honest with me? Since you listen to our show and you like to tattletale and call other people like a child.
I can tell you 1,000 words I've called back. Barack
So you're a
Obama,
hypocrite. Then you're a hypocrite. Then you're a hypocrite, JD. You're a hypocrite.
What?
You're a hypocrite. You just said you've called Barack Obama 1,000 words. I call something that Danny's wife did idiotic, which I stand by. I'm not going after her as a person. I'm going after her tweet.
For what I just said.
Yeah, you just said you've called Obama all the names and Democrats all the names in the book. You just said 1,000 words. You're not going to.
Not on the air. I've called them all.
What is the difference? Or do you hide behind what you say?
Individuals.
What is the difference? What is the difference whether you say it on the air or not? I'm an honest person. Guess what, JD?
My point is, Brian, you didn't explain what she said or
yes,
what she
I did. That is not
horrendous.
JD. You are 100% wrong.
Word.
Now you are 100% wrong. And I'll tell you what. I'll make you $1,000 bet right now. I will send you the segment, and I gave absolute context to what she said. You want
to bet real money or bubblegum money? That's bubblegum money.
Okay. Well, goodbye, JD, because now you're just being a moron. Goodbye. See you later. 257-5396 702-257-5396. If you're gonna say that you've called Obama 1,000 different names, and then I say a tweet that Danny Tarkanian's wife did is idiotic, and you have a problem with that, then you are a partisan hack, JD, with all due respect.
I encourage the listeners to watch my wife on Alex Witt, MSNBC, even if it's the only time you watch it, 10:30 on Sunday, and you'll see how sharp she is. She really knows her stuff, and better yet, she says it in the best manner, demeanor, and everything. She's a natural.
And I never said she wasn't sharp. I never said she wasn't intelligent. I said this was an idiotic tweet, Danny. And
Sundays, 10:30 a.m.
And I don't think you would have done this.
Listen, look, you know what I'm excited about? For 2 years, we've had people say, actually it's been almost 3 years because it was during the campaign, that there was all this Russian collusion. And they do it based upon ridiculous things like Trump says, hey, I hope the Russians found those emails that Hillary bleached out and turns them over. You know, obviously that was a joke. But, then they say that and they said, oh, now he's encouraging the collusion. For 2 years, we've had our country stagnated in trying to get things done because of this polarization of this Mueller investigation. Now that it's over, it'd be great if we can give Trump 2 years, see what his policies can do, see if maybe he'll stop some of the personal tax and get back to
I doubt that's going to happen.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's see what his policy does and let him move forward with governing like he was elected to. It's unfortunate, though. Even though this has happened, you still see people like Adam Schiff and others that want to keep this going because this isn't a matter of finding him guilty of something wrong now, like the Mueller investigation is supposed to. This is a way to stop him from being able to get his policies passed, even though he was duly elected as a president. That's what I would like to see. I think that was the biggest thing.
Don't you think that the report should go public, though, so we should all be able to see it?
The report should go public for whatever is legally able to. There's some things, I guess, that are confidential or national security.
And that I understand.
And they're going to block those out and turn it over. My understanding, if they said by April, and this next month they're going to. Sure, they should. That's all good and well. The fact of the matter is, if Mueller found that there was enough proof of collusion, he may have said there were some instances, but not enough to prove it. If he did, and Barr misrepresented him, Mueller would be stating that right now. So he didn't do that. If Mueller concluded that there was enough proof to show obstruction of justice, and Barr said that there's not, Mueller would be disputing that now, and he's not. So you got to take what Barr said as fact, and there may be some
If it was
other,
a Democrat, would you believe the Democrat as much as Barr? Why should we all believe Barr?
because of what I just said. If he wasn't telling the truth, Mueller would have corrected him. He wouldn't let it get away.
Well,
Listen, look, I'm not saying that there's going to be stuff in that report that are going to show some things the Democrats like, but it's not going to show that there was enough to prosecute or to move forward with any kind of.
I was very clear when I went on the radio. As soon as this Barr report came out, I was very clear. The first thing I said was, "Look, this is a good thing for the country. I did not want the president walking out of the White House in handcuffs." Okay, that's number one. And the second thing I said is, let's make this report public, and then let's all move on. And very similar to what you said, by the way, let's let him go the next 2 years. He's obviously not going to change. I don't agree with the rhetoric and the horrible things he says on a daily basis. But let's take a couple more phone calls. 257-5396. Let's go to Stephen. Stephen, thanks for calling in. You're on with Danny Tarkanian. Go ahead.
Hey, Mr. Dan.
Hi, Stephen.
How you doing?
Good. If Virginia Tech keeps beating Duke, I'm going to have a celebration tonight.
Yeah, Danny's not walking in here in a Duke jersey. That's not going to happen.
For those that don't know it, I watched Danny play for several years, and we
cool.
both went to law school in the same city, different law schools. But,
Oh, wow. That's great.
I've known you for quite a while, so.
I want a Danny Tarkanian vintage UNLV jersey for him to sign. That's what I want. You got to be out there somewhere, right?
Well, I have my jersey, but I'm not giving it to you.
I don't blame you after that comment about your spouse. But,
Yeah.
Oh, come on now. This isn't personal. Come on.
No, I know. It shouldn't be. Oh, you were talking about something good, and I heard something good today on, I believe it's on this radio station. It was Sean Hannity had on a guest. I believe it Collins from Georgia, I think he was from. He's on the Intelligence Committee.
Yes.
And they demanded that Schiff resign the other day. And, of course, he went off like a skyrocket. And then so they had one of the guys on from the committee today, and they said that they decided that I guess they've already done it now, or did it today. They said, look, you keep saying about all this evidence against Donald Trump. Nobody else sees it. You must be the only one that knows where it is. So stop hiding it. Get it here in the committee and put it up on the table.
Well,
Otherwise,
look.
and of course, Schiff ain't going to do it. I think he may go to prison.
First of all,
Schiff may go to jail for attacking.
Schiff has no proof of it, or if he did, he would have exposed it publicly because he's been saying it now for months. And now that Mueller said there isn't, he would show it. He doesn't have it. This is, again, it's not hard to understand. This is the way for the people that don't want President Trump's policies to be implemented and passed to keep muddling the conversation and divert the attention from it. We need to, as people that really want to see these policies passed, and I'm a big believer in President Trump's policies, that we get focused on that. Trump's got to get away from his negative tweets and so forth. Focus on getting your stuff passed and done. And in 2 years, people can be able to vote for you again. And if they do, and the policies work like I think they will, he'll be reelected.
I don't necessarily disagree with you, but I don't think going after John McCain, who passed away, you're not going to win a lot of voters by doing that.
You know what? But listen, John McCain to me is a hero in what he did in the war. This and that. How can you say it was right for John McCain to turn over the dossier to the FBI in the middle of the election like that? But let's say that's okay, that he should turn over to the FBI. How do you say it's okay for him to give it to Axiom, the media? There's no excuse
then why
for that.
can't Trump
There's
say that?
There's no excuse for that.
Why does he have to go after his grades and then go after his service?
President Trump.
It's disrespectful.
President Trump goes after people personally. Look,
Which is wrong.
Well,
and I know you agree with that.
It's not what I would like to see in a president.
Right.
That's his way. I would rather have Trump and his policies and his personal attacks than President Obama and his policies and what he does.
And if he just did that, I have no doubt he would 100% win in 2 years. Got to take. Yeah, I don't think your mic is on, JD. Let me take. Go ahead. Go ahead.
How do you not consider what McCain did, considering he did it to influence the election, to be collusion?
He handed it over to the FBI
and Axiom, a Democrat, a liberal media outlet.
I got to squeeze in one more call. Let's go to Ron. Ron, thanks for calling in. You're on with Danny Tarkanian. How are you?
Hello, Brian. Hello, Mr. Tarkanian. How are you? And JD, you too. I want all you guys to hear this question. I got one question for Brian.
Yes, sir.
I want the whole world to hear this question.
Okay.
Brian.
Can you hear the answer too, though?
Brian, when you were born,
Yes.
what did your mama do with the baby?
I'm very confused.
She did not throw it out with the bathwater.
I'm very
Right?
confused with your question.
Am I right?
I figure you would be. Good answer.
Yep.
Okay, how about lower your radio down so we could have a conversation? We have something called a delay in radio, Ron. Do you want to ask me a real question, or you just want to?
What he's trying to say, I understand. What he's trying to say is you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Just because you don't like Trump's tweets, you don't throw him out.
He hung up the phone.
You don't get rid of all of his policies that have resulted in the lowest unemployment rate in 50 years, the highest average wage growth in the last 10 years. All the things that he's done overseas. How about wiping out ISIS? We haven't even heard about that. Remember when he was going to pull the troops out, and they said he hasn't wiped out ISIS yet. He's breaking his promise, and now we see ISIS is wiped out. I mean, there's so many positive things that are going on.
There are positives and negatives. I'm not going to sit here and say that.
Negatives are his personal stuff. I mean, tell me a policy thing that you don't like what he's doing.
Okay, sure. No transgenders in the military.
Okay.
I could not disagree with that more. Tax breaks for the rich. Okay, I've been saying that for years.
We could argue. Okay, listen, the transgender. I'm a big libertarian, and I think people should live the lives the way they want to live, and so forth. I'm not going to get into that. I'm not going to defend that, except I think President Trump was leaving that up to the generals. But let's talk about the tax.
We only
breaks,
got like a minute.
The tax breaks for the rich.
Quickly.
That's such an that is a little bit deceiving in that the rich are paying 70% of all the taxes, and of course they're going to get a bigger tax break.
Not based on a percentage. Not based on the percentage that they're paying, though. You're basing it on overall the money that they're giving out, but they're actually paying a low. Most of these billionaires are paying a lower percentage on their taxes than an income of $40,000 a year, and I disagree with that, Danny.
And I disagree completely because it's the exemptions they get, not the tax rates. It's because they get all these special tax exemptions,
which I don't agree with.
I agree too, and I've campaigned
so we
on that.
agree on that.
I've campaigned on that.
So you asked me a couple policies I don't like, and I just named you a few.
But Trump's tried to get rid of a lot of those exemptions.
Well, he hasn't been successful yet.
No, he hasn't.
Okay, well, let's wait and see what happens. And I'm glad we had a good spirited debate. And look, I'm a man of my word. If I talk about somebody, whether it's their wife or husband, I'm gonna do it face to face, and that's what I do here. It's not personal. You can have a conversation with somebody without making it personal, and we can disagree on something without it being personal.
It's not taken personally.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. So I appreciate all the phone calls, everybody. Danny, I always appreciate it when you take time to come in, and I hope Duke doesn't win the national championship. Okay, I'm with you on that, Danny. Okay, we are definitely going to agree on that. I am just as much of a Duke hater as you are, I promise. So I appreciate you taking some time to join us. On Monday, everybody, Dionne Warwick is going to join us. That's going to be a ton of fun. Lon Kruger will be joining us on Monday as well. The legend himself, Ken Thompson, will be coming up next, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate all the phone calls, and we will catch up with you soon on the Vegas Take. Thanks for joining us on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM KDWN.